Hello everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by Borderlands 3, the pre-sequel OST. And basically for this episode, we're going to go ahead and discuss the sets that are currently on sale. Now, I've done a previous video on the sales that are expiring on the 4th, which is in just a little bit. As you can see here, they are showing that they will expire at 2:59 a.m. For me, it's weird. It just said 2:57 a little while ago. But, so to kind of sum up, avoid the 40th Century set, avoid the data set, self-sacrifice. I think I had ranked this one fairly low, but there are definitely some good items on here. It is a set that honestly I would buy because I own none of it except for the monstrosity. The AVX set is very good with the arc reactor charge, and there are some interesting combos set up with the Cosmic Flame. This again is another set that I would get because I only own the Cosmic Flame. The chest set is relatively solid. It all centers around providing ammunition for the Rook, which can be used to initiate follow-up teams like your rockets, your jacks, your spiders, etc., etc. And they all feed ammo into the Rook, which allow the Rook to do its job. But you can certainly piece it out and get things done another way. However, if you run the Rook, you definitely want at least one of the other items to feed it ammo. The Demon set is the one that I would have called the must-buy in this. You really do want to get this set because the hot shot is phenomenal and the signpost has had extreme longevity in PvP. I will be honest in saying it has taken a hit in popularity because of what has happened to quick actions since when the signpost first came out, and the fact that the weather control device creates exhaustion, which unless you're running a tactician safeguard, the signpost will end your turn. So running this on defensive, say like a bruiser agent, if you are hit by the Fire-nado and use the signpost, that's it. So for the Cosmic set, this is another one that I personally would like to get, as I only have the GG prototype. But you also get the Radiant Cannon, the Ray Shield Generator, and the Scythe of Ptah. Unfortunately, the quick actions have hurt this particular item also. It has hurt it because the GG prototype can no longer be fired 5 times in a round, which was absolutely deadly with Pesty teams. It can only be fired twice if you commit to the GG prototype. However, you can fire it once and then do other things. Up next, we have the Horsemen set, the Murderworld set, Dark Defiance, the Armory of Attilan, Vindication, Genetic Re-Engineering, and Starktech. So we're going to go ahead and review those really quick. And let me just adjust this. This was a little bit louder than the previous song. Okay, so let us talk about the new sets expiring on the 8th. So the Horsemen set is clearly the must-buy of the ones on the 8th. You definitely want the Horsemen set. The reason why is the X-Obliv is quite unique and really gets jacked up when you have other pieces of the Horsemen set. At its base, it sprays the entire team with Opportunist, but then it can proceed to Pressure Points, Chaos Shot, and even Nanoblade. Now this set is a lot stronger now that we have 5 slots, and you can run something like a cube or the weather control device to go with it, or anything that does Opportunist and Pressure Points, which you can later exploit. The Neuro Purge would actually be very good for this set. The Memento Mori puts out Doom, Despair, and then eventually Fatal Blow. At its base, it does Death Frost. The Gauntlet Caress is a special functionality item, and quite a good one if you're trying to build an agent that does specific things, like the Cosmic Cardinal and whatnot. At its base it does Withered, but then it eventually gets up to Drain Energy, Disadvantage, and Absorb class. The Absorb class is really big for this one, but so is Disadvantage. Then we also have the No Mercy. Now, applications with this set is clearly Pesty Beast. This is how this set was originally run. And it was very good with like Nico and Pesty. The No Mercy was so good that in fact it was nerfed at least once, because the damage a fully debuffed person would do with 4 horse set items and the No Mercy was very big. Nowadays you can remove Pesty and equip the Scroll of Ruta and still get something done. The scroll is a quick action, so you could go scroll X Obliv in your first turn and then either use Memento Mori or No Mercy depending on the situation. Very unique set. If you have Pesty, if you have the Scroll of Ruta, then this set is clearly a 10. But if you lack the ability to seal in debuffs, then honestly this set drops to about a 7. The Murderworld set was the set that came out with Nico when you fought Arcade. To me, the standout of this set is the Insert Coin. Very interesting graphic. Basically, it is like a gigantic pinball bouncing around. And the way that this set goes is that the set has square synergy. Synergy in this set runs in a square. So basically, Insert Coin feeds the Serpentine. Serpentine feeds the Britannic Scepter, which feeds the Sugarbeat, which comes back and feeds the Insert Coin. So the Insert Coin prevents counterattacks by off balance, and it prevents follow-ups with Winded. If you have the Sugarbeat, you gain internal bleeding. That's an AoE internal bleeding. Now it's not subtle or stealthy, so you're going to run into issues with Protect Agents and Lunacy, but it is pretty nice, and the Insert Coin to me is the one that stands out. You have the Serpentine, which causes Constricted and Incapacitation, but then if you have the Insert Coin, it does Generalized. Very, very good against what is going on now in PvP. Especially with all these level 15s who can activate their class bonuses at will. The Serpentine helps with that. The Britannic Scepter is essentially like Captain Britain. You gain the Lion of Avalon. The Roar of Avalon restores health each time an enemy dies, but you lose it when an ally dies. It causes pressure points. If you have the Serpentine, not only does it cause pressure points, but it can turn around and exploit them. The Sugarbeat does Sticky, which reduces evasion, and you get Sugar Rush. However, if you have the Scepter, you have a chance to get an extra turn, similar to the Vampire Sword. The Sugar Rush is really big, and how you could use this set right now is take the Sugarbeat, the Savage Axe, the Savage Spear, the Hallowed Flame Thrower, and you have Savage, Might, and now Sugar Rush, and you can create an extremely jacked up agent for that. Because these will stack. The 2 Savage ones stack, and then the Hallowed Flame Thrower, which is called Might for the buff, stacks on top of those. So this is very good, but I would give this one about a 7. I like the joystick the most. The Dark Defiance set was from the second Thor movie. You have Algrim's Rage, Frigga's Hope, Horde of Wisdom, and Watcher's Blade. I personally own everything except for the Frigga's Hope. The Horde of Wisdom is very, very interesting. It's a 2-round cooldown, but it's a 2-round buff. It's magic, but it's not a quick action. Horn of Wisdom increases attack, defense, accuracy, and evasion, restores stamina, stacks up to 3 times. Last breath, restores health to remaining allies when defeated in combat. You're thinking, well, shit, that thing sucks. That's the end of your turn when you use that. Yes and no. If you have the Watcher's Blade, you have a 50% chance to gain at the ready, which resets the cooldown on Horde of Wisdom and makes it a QA. So, what could happen is in round 1, you use the weather control device, and then you use the horn, end of turn. In round 2, at the ready procs, Horn of Wisdom becomes a quick action, so you could use that first, and then do something else. Plus it also helps keep the stacks high. Algrim's Rage hits all enemies, but it has a starting cooldown. It does do Fatal Blow, but it also has a chance to gain follow-up when you're Invigorated. Invigorated is a buff that you get if you have nearly full stamina. That is a tough thing to pull off, and that's where the Horn of Wisdom comes in. But in today's PvP with signposts and things that assault your stamina, the Algrim's Rage is kind of shit. And then you have the Frigga's Hope, which does bleeding, but attack with Frigga's Hope gain Paragon Exploiter and Desperation after an ally has been defeated. So, again, one of the weakest items in here. I think these two are good to go. I would rank the set about a 6, but the Horn of Wisdom is very good. Now we have the Attilan set, which was coming out around the time of Black Bolt. The cornerstone of it is this 2-round cooldown. It's buff, it's tech, but it is a quick action. It's called the Protector of Attilan. Takes reduced damage from enemy attacks. You deal reduced damage, but you are immune to quartered, off balance, and pinpoint. Beneficial status effects will not be removed by enemy attacks or harmful status effects. So, this was used to create the Eternal Agent who would phase himself, use this so that the phasing could not be cleansed, and then he was equipped with all subtle actions. The Might of Attilan is the weakest spot for this. Attacks with the Might of Attilan regenerate health, which is okay. While the Protector of Attilan buff is active, you follow up after attacking with either the Watcher or the Guardian. I honestly think the Watcher, the Guardian, and the Protector are the 3 best things about the set. But the fact that Might can bring one of the other 2 weapons with it is very good. You just don't know which. If you use the Guardian, you get a shield, you cause Winded, and you have very high crit resistance. You also counter melee attacks. The Watcher does the opposite. It does ranged attacks, but you also have Curative Watch, where you have a chance to remove harmful status effects, and you cause a single target to have 50% chance to miss. The set is pretty good. I have all of it. I would give it about an 8. The Protector of Attilan is very nice in what it does. The best money value is the Vindication set because you get 5 pieces for the price of 4. You get the Power Cell Mark III and then the Sonic Blaster, Void Generator, Obliterator, and Stalker. There is also an MK2 and an MK1. For all purposes here where it says that it consumes a high capacity charge, we're going to only talk about high capacity and not low, because we don't have a chance to get low capacity since we don't have the weaker power cells. The Stalker is the most unique pistol in the game. What it does is that when you use the power cell and then you pop somebody, that person gets electronic tracking and your whole team gets surveillance. Electronic tracking says the attack cannot be stealthy and attacks will be countered by people with surveillance. So when you, let's say you go first and you pop the enemy agent, so now he has the Stalker debuff on him. Now the enemy agent's turn is up and he uses the Guardian Blade, okay? The Blade of the Guardian. Everybody on your team will counter him for doing that. If you run the Lunacy, which exposes subtle and stealthy items and everything, which, I mean, it does that anyway with the stealthy, but for subtle, if you expose the subtle, you can still stalk them, which is really, really nice. This is very good if you plan to run heroes who like to buff themselves off of their level 1 or their, their counter follow-up attack. So it works really, really well with the AoE follow-up people like Shitterstar and Gorgon. It also works great with people whose level 1s do very good things like Sabretooth and Magic, so on and so forth. The Void Generator is a very, very interesting gun in the fact that it is like a scroll of Englob. When you use the power cell and this item, you remove beneficial status effects from the target. kind of like a nano plague. But then you absorb damage, you remove and prevent harmful debuffs. Attackers hitting your shield have a buff removed, and it will not remove or prevent abilities from destroying or preventing shield. So Shield Breaker does not get in the way of Void Generator, and vice versa, really. The Sonic Blaster generalizes everybody, and it neutralizes and exhausts them if you have the high capacity charge. So you may as well say it does all of them over here. I don't use the Sonic Blaster, but honestly, AoE generalization in this day and age is phenomenal with people, like I said, activating class abilities. The genetic re-engineering set, I would give this one a 2. And the Vindication set, I would give a 7, depending on how you want to run your comp. The genetic re-engineering set has the start of the Adhesive X launcher, but it tends to work on radiation. I mean, you've seen MODOK do, or not MODOK, you've seen Arnim Zola work with this thing a lot. The multi-shot injector has a really low chance to hit compared to other items. If it does hit, they get genetic alteration. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is one of those debuffs that hurts you if you clean it. So you could hit somebody with the multi-shot injector and then have anti-venom force clean it, and you will do that extra damage that it talks about. And the ionic emitter is kind of a good thing, in that it heals you under certain healing statuses, and it hits the enemy similarly. The Starktech set is a definite pass. It's just not really even worth it to even talk about it. It's basically an attempt to be Iron Man without the Unipulse or the Pulse Beam. So I would rank the losers in this group to be the Genetic Re-engineering set and Starktech. I would rank the must-haves as the Attilan set and the Horsemen set. Coming close behind that, in a near close third, is the Vindication set, just because it is hard to pull off in today's current meta with haves and combo breakers and everything like that. So it's harder to pull off, but it was pretty good. Meanwhile, Jessica Jones is coming along nicely. I have earned her, but I have not earned a boomerang yet, as I'm getting a ton of duplicates this time. So my A-Bomb is ready to go for 13. Spitfire is ready to go for 13. Kamala is ready to go for 13. Angela is 13 and a half. And Jessica is level 4. Oh, level 5. So she's getting up there pretty well too. And we didn't get any PvP so far. So let's keep our fingers crossed that by the end of Friday, we will not have new PvP. I mean, we made it the full week and then some, so we never know what will happen. But if we're still doing lockboxes at this point in time, dating all the way forward 17 days from now, I mean, that's cutting it really close to Christmas time. I mean, 17 and 4, that's 21 days. And that's going to be, I wonder what we'll get for Christmas lockboxes, because the last 2 years we had Christmas lockboxes. We had Kane, and then we had whoever we did last year. So it'll be really interesting to see what they come up with for Christmas. So that's my video for the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance. We talked about the December 4th sets and the December 8th ones. In case you haven't noticed, Kingpin has gotten a lot tougher this week because they slapped him with an unexploitable. So what I do now is I do Hafe and Molly with the Prism, and that is how I beat everybody except for a Blaster Kingpin. And when I fight a Blaster Kingpin, I go to the old Fandral Hogun because Fanduel's pincushion does actually get around the unexploit protection that he has. You can still get a follow-up or counter, do extra damage because of that. So, that's the video for this week. Hope you guys have a good Friday and a good weekend. And again, let's pray for no PvP yet. And let me know how you are doing with getting Boomerang down in the comments. I think it's atrocious for me, but that might not be everybody else's luck. So let us know how you're doing with Boomerang. And as always, feel free to subscribe to me here or on Twitter if you want to get notifications about my stuff. Thanks and have a good one.